And we're back. Let's talk about abdominal structures and functions. Study buddies here for you, man. Abdominal structures and functions. The abdomen or abdominal cavity is located below the diaphragm and extends to the top of the pelvis. The abdominal cavity is lined with the peritoneum. Like the thoracic pleura, the abdominal peritoneum has two layers. How many layers? Two. The visceral peritoneum and the parietal peritoneum. The visceral peritoneum is the innermost layer. All right, don't forget that. Visceral, innermost, visceral. The visceral peritoneum is the innermost layer and is in contact with the abdominal organs. All right. Whereas the parietal peritoneum is the outer layer. The parietal is the outer layer. The two layers are separated by a space that contains serous fluid that acts as a lubricant. All right? The abdominal cavity contains many vital organs. The majority of the abdominal organs, including the stomach, spleen, liver, gallbladder, pancreas, small intestines, and part of the large intestine, are enclosed by the what? Visceral peritoneum, because it's the innermost one, all right? Visceral, and it touches the organs. The visceral peritoneum touches your damn organs. Hence, they are termed intraperitoneal. Intra. Within, all right? Intraperitoneal. However, some organs or portions of organs are located behind the peritoneal space. This area is referred to as the retroperitoneal space because it's behind, all right? Retro, think about some, retro J's or some shit. Retro, whatever. Retroperitoneal space. The kidneys, ureters, pancreas, and the abdominal aorta are located in the retroperitoneal space. Kidneys, ureters, pancreas, and the abdominal aorta are located in the retroperitoneal space. All right? Most vital organs of the body, such as the heart, lungs, and brain, are contained within body cavities that are protected by bones. However, just the upper portion of the abdomen is protected by the lower rib cage, while the remainder of the abdomen is protected only by the muscular layer of the abdominal cavity. When looking at mechanisms of injury, it is easy to see why injuries to the abdomen can be very serious. Hell yeah. Abdominal quadrants and regions. Because you can't use bones as reference points when assessing the abdomen. Why? Because they're not there. It is helpful to reference the abdomen by dividing it into quarters or quadrants, using the navel or umbilicus or your birthmark. Anyway, as the central reference point. In naming the quadrants, right and left, or the patient's right and left, all right, the left upper quadrant, or the LUQ, contains most of the stomach, the spleen, the pancreas, and part of the large intestine. The left kidney is behind the abdominal lining. Where's the left kidney? It's behind the abdominal lining. What is that space called behind the abdominal lining? The retroperitoneal space. Gotcha. Right upper quadrant, the RUQ, contains most of the liver, the gallbladder, and part of the large intestine. The right kidney is behind what? I just told you ass. The abdominal lining, it is in the retroperitoneal space, all right? The right lower quadrant, the RLQ, contains the appendix, which is a worm-shaped structure extending at the beginning of the large intestine. It also contains part of the large intestine and the female reproductive organs, all right, with an S on that shit. Organs, more than one, all right? The female reproductive organs, all of them, are in the right lower quadrant, all right? Not all, but you know what I mean. Anyway, left lower quadrant, the LLQ, contains part of the large intestine, also known as the colon, don't forget that, and the female reproductive organs, all right? All right. The RLQ and the RLQ and the LLQ contain part of the female reproductive organs, all right? Another way to describe the abdomen is by using a system of 9 regions. This is done by drawing 4 imaginary lines, much akin to a tic-tac-toe board, on the abdomen with the umbilicus in the center of the middle. The regions are from the patient's right to left from the top row down. I don't know about all that. Well, what I like to do is draw a damn a plus sign, all right, a big ass plus sign or a cross, however you want to call it. And of course, the umbilicus or navel is right in the middle where they meet, all right. And you got your right upper, your left upper, and you got your right lower and your left lower, and you fill that shit in. It's that easy. Types of abdominal structures. The abdominal cavity contains 3 types of structures: hollow organs, solid organs, and vascular structures. Hollow organs contain some type of substance that may leak into the abdominal cavity if the organ is perforated or injured. When a hollow organ is perforated or injured, any substance that leaks into the abdominal cavity may lead to chemical or bacterial peritonitis. Peritonitis, all right? Itis, inflammation. Peri is around, all right? Inflammation around, that area. Hollow organs typically, I'm learning just like y'all are, shut up. Hollow organs typically do not have the same amount of blood supply as solid organs. Therefore, they tend not to bleed as much as solid organs. Solid organs are very vascular, which means they contain a large amount of vessels and blood, because blood travels through what? Vessels, all right? Solid organs are very vascular. They got a lot of blood in them, folks. Some are covered by a thick fibrous capsule, all right? The liver and the spleen, in particular, are covered by a thick fibrous capsule. When a solid organ is ruptured or injured, it tends to bleed, potentially leading to severe shock because you're losing blood, all right? A lot of it at that. Vascular structures are the large blood vessels found in the abdominal cavity. Portions of the descending aorta and the inferior vena cava are located in the abdominal cavity. Rupture or injury to either vessel will result in major bleeding, rapid blood loss, and death. The function of most of the organs contained in the abdomen has to do with digestion of food. You knew that already. Absorption of nutrients into the body and excretion of waste. You know that. As an EMT, you should not focus on determining which organ or specific illness may be causing a patient's abdominal pain. Your priority is to my bad. I can't read today. Your priority is to recognize potential life threats related to acute abdominal pain and provide appropriate emergency care, all right? So don't waste time trying to figure out exactly what's going on. Damn it. Just, recognize potential life threats related to acute abdominal pain and provide appropriate emergency medical care. Moving on. Abdominal pain. Pathophysiology of abdominal pain. Abdominal pain usually results from one of the following 3 mechanisms, people. Mechanical forces, stretching, inflammation, itis, or ischemia. Ischemia, organ and tissue hypoxia is ischemia, all right? Abdominal organ emergencies do not typically create a perception of cutting or tearing. Let's read that again for you slow folks. Abdominal organ emergencies do not typically create a perception of cutting or tearing. The exception is, there's always an exception to the rule, people. Y'all knew that was coming. The exception is the aorta, which can cause a tearing sensation with certain aortic complications. For other abdominal viscera, For the other abdominal viscera, if an organ is torn, the pain will result not from the tearing of the organ itself, but from the blood irritating the peritoneum, that outer space there. Certain organs, liver, spleen, and gallbladder, are surrounded by capsules, they said that earlier, that do contain nerve fibers. and the patient will experience pain if the capsule is stretched by inflammation or swelling. The rapid distension of an organ will cause a rapid onset of abdominal pain. For example, a patient who is experiencing gas will have a sudden onset of abdominal pain caused by the distension of the intestine. Once the gas is dissipated, you farted and shitted a couple times, the organ is no longer stretched and the pain is eliminated. Therefore, rapid onset of abdominal pain is usually a red flag indicating an acute onset of an abdominal disorder. All right? Remember that shit. The rapid onset of abdominal pain, if it's fast, the onset is fast as fuck, then that pain is usually a red flag indicating an acute onset of an abdominal disorder. If the distension of the organ is gradual, as in cirrhosis of the liver, where the liver can distend to twice its size, that shit swole, the patient experiences little pain. Thus, pain would be an early indicator of that condition. Stretching of the peritoneum will also cause pain. This may be due to distension of an organ that tugs on the peritoneum, adhesions, scar tissue from surgery or a previous injury, or forceful movement of the small intestine associated with a bowel obstruction. The exception to this, you knew it was coming. The exception to this is the pregnant patient in her third trimester or last 3 months of pregnancy. The peritoneum is stretched so far that it is no longer sensitive to stretching. This could be dangerous in a pregnant patient experiencing This could be dangerous in a pregnant patient experiencing a condition that would normally cause pain and alert the patient to a problem earlier. The abdominal organs in the pediatric patient are closer together than in an adult. Remember that. Pain from stretching a solid organ is usually a steady type of pain. Inflammation of a hollow organ may irritate the lining of the walls of the organ, causing a crampy, colicky type of pain. Pain associated with ischemia or hypoxia to an abdominal organ will be steady and severe and will continue to worsen as the organ becomes more hypoxic. Types of abdominal pain. Abdominal pain can be classified as visceral pain, parietal or somatic pain, or referred pain. The characteristic of pain varies depending on what organ is involved. Why? Because of the differences that they just told us about. Visceral pain occurs when the organ itself is involved. Most organs do not have a large number of highly sensitive nerve fibers. They're going back to it a little bit again. Most organs do not have a large number of highly sensitive nerve fibers. Therefore, the pain is usually less severe. It's poorly localized. The patient cannot point to the pain with one finger. It is more general in nature, is dull or aching or oppressive, and may be constant or intermittent. Remember this shit. Visceral pain is usually less severe, all right? Visceral pain, less severe pain. Visceral pain, poorly localized pain, all right? And is general in nature. Visceral pain, dull, aching, or oppressive pain. May be constant or intermittent. That's visceral. Although the pain may not be severe, a serious condition may still exist. This is one of the most important lessons to learn from the differences in the types of pain. Mild and intermittent pain does not mean a mild or insignificant condition. Visceral pain is also associated with nausea and vomiting. Visceral pain is also associated with nausea and vomiting. Parietal pain, also called somatic pain. Somatic pain is associated with irritation of the peritoneal lining. Remember, The peritoneum has a larger amount of highly sensitized nerve endings. Thus, one would expect the pain to be more severe and more localized, right? Because you have more nerve endings, you can feel it. Yeah.